Art prior to the 20th century was mainly to capture stories and people. The Mona Lisa was commissioned to be painted by the father of a rich young woman. The Last Supper was painted as a type of visual tradition, a story told by the eyes. But by the late 1800s, a new invention was born that rendered realistic artists useless: the camera. From the ashes of realism rose Impressionism, an art form of quick brushstrokes that caught light and color. Impressionists such as Claude Monet and Edgar Degas moved away from painting commission requests and focused more on ordinary people and scenes, such as water lilies, haystacks, ballerinas, and horse racings. Such grand shifts in focus and technique set up Europe for the beauty ahead. 20th century art was almost as chaotic as the 20th century itself. A time plagued with world wars, brutal genocides, corrupt dictators, and mass terror gave European artists the feelings in which they used to paint their art, an era known as modernism. During World War I, rations, lack of supplies, and loss of money caused artists to be unable to purchase traditional art supplies. This concept brought about the Dada movement. French artist and co-founder of Dadaism, Marcel Duchamp lived practically his entire life surrounded by war in which he deemed senseless and useless. He started creating art that was what he called halfway finished. War relics, half-burned books, rubble, and ordinary objects were added Duchamp's satirical twists. Other artists joined in, spinning on ideas such as nationalism, materialism, and pro-war concepts in silly and odd ways. German-born Max Ernst was also a huge member in the Dada movement and also a co-founder of Surrealism, a dreamlike but realistic art movement that is considered the most important aesthetic movement in Europe between the two world wars. Surrealism was created as a response to the harsh realness of war. Many of Ernst's paintings angered the Germans due to Ernst's anti-war beliefs, so he escaped to France to more permanently plant Surrealism with his friend André Breton. During World War II, when Germany invaded France, Ernst escaped again to California, spreading Surrealism across the world. Modernist abstract art such as Cubism took hold steadily during World War II as well as war propaganda. Pablo Picasso, considerably the most famous modern artist of all time, traveled the land in periods of color, painting in geometric shapes of the poverty and the glamorous. War propaganda was also used to send men to war, encourage women to help on the home front, and to antagonize the enemy. Art was simply a byproduct of the world and death of the first half of the 20th century. It was a protest for peace, a demand to bear arms, but also an escape from the terror raging outside. Art was a love for its country and a sickness of what horrors it could do. War was definitely the cause of the first half of the 20th century, but art was most certainly the byproduct.